Hello, this is Mr. Jarrett. In this video tutorial, we're going to be 3D modeling this object in SolidWorks. And as you can see, there is no isometric up here in the top right. So that means we are going to be using this multi-view, this top, front, and right, to 3D model this object. So the first thing you always want to look at are your units, which in this case we are in inches, and where your origin is located. So we can see our origin is kind of floating down here in our front view, and it's not necessarily connected to anything. But I'm assuming, even though this dot is a little oversized, I'm assuming that the origin is coincident or straight across from the bottom of this object. I'm going to say the same thing for this flat outside here. Now when I look from a different view, I can see that it looks like it's directly above the corner. It's not attached to the corner because obviously it's below everything, but it is in line with the back and the left side. If I look at it over here, I can see the same thing. It's in line with the back and it's aligned with the bottom. So you have to kind of choose a picture or an orthographic, the top, front, or right, to 3D model from. I think in this case, the front view, even though it does not have as many dimensions connected to it, I think the front view gives you the most detail of what this overall shape actually looks like. So I'm going to plan on drawing from the front view, and as you can see, the origin's in the back, so that means I'm going to extrude forward, and then I'll go ahead, put these slots, cut the slots all the way down through, and then kind of figure out what this rectangle is right here. So I'm going to pull this to my other screen, and in SolidWorks I'm going to make a new part. I'm going to make sure I'm in inches, which I am. And then I'm going to sketch on the front plane. And since this object is symmetrical, I'm actually just going to be drawing part of this, or half of this, and then probably just mirroring over the other half. So once again, nothing is selected, or nothing is connected, to the origin. So I'm just going to go to the right, kind of draw with my line tool up and over. I'll hit escape and get my line tool again. And then from here, we need the tangent arc. Now, if you know the little shortcut with the line tool of moving your mouse back over that dot and coming down and connecting, that's great. You could use that. But if you don't know that, just go over to the tangent arc. And since we have a start and stop, we're going to just select the two endpoints, and we're going to make sure that we select tangent right here at both points. Okay, so we want it to be tangent there and there. Now, let's look around and do kind of a once-over of this entire thing and see if all our other lines are vertical and horizontal lines, because they all should be. And they are. So the biggest other thing here is making sure that this is tangent, and now looking at what our origin is connected to. So you can see my origin has two coincidences on it, even though I didn't do anything. I didn't select my origin or anything like that. When I use my line tool and I moved my mouse directly to the right of the origin, it automatically made the origin coincident to the bottom. If you do not see this, you want to add this. So that means we're going to select the bottom, hold in Shift, select the origin, and we're going to make them coincident. And as you can see, mine already has it. I'm going to do the same thing here for this vertical line. So select that vertical line, hold in Shift, select your origin, and make that coincident. So everything is pretty much set up except for this middle line here. This is the line that I'm going to mirror across. I do not want this line to be an object line, meaning a solid line. I want this to be a construction line. So I'll select that, and I'll change it to construction. Now you could go ahead and dimension this, or you could just mirror it now. That's what I'm going to do. So I'll select everything just by highlighting it all. If you go up to Mirror Entities, it's smart enough to understand that this is the only construction line there is, so it flips everything over that construction line. Now coming back to our picture and looking at our front view here, there's only really two measurements that we see. We see this radius. It says 2x, meaning there's two of them, this end and that end, of a radius of 0.94. And then we also see this 1.32. But this 1.32 goes up to a hidden line. We don't really know what that is. off of this current view. Now, could we figure out what that is over here? Of course we could. That's not going to help us right now. Okay, so the other spot that we can look, if we go back here, if we're looking on our front view, the other thing that we can look for is height connected to our right side or width connected to our top. So since we were just looking in this area, let's look over here for height. Okay, this 1.75 goes all the way up to the top, so that's the total height. And this 0.51 goes to this line right here. Well, it looks like there's a second line here, and that's probably because that's coming off of the little tangent corner of where this curves. So the 0.51 is right here where this cutout is. So I'm going to put those measurements in. So I'll select this first, and I'll make that 0.94. And since this is mirrored, it's going to automatically do the opposite side. We're going to go from the top line to the bottom line, and we said the overall height was 1.75. And it might do this, it might overlap a little bit. As long as you can understand what's going on, that's fine. If you can't, just simply hit escape and grab a dot and kind of reshape this thing. And I know it's going to shrink a lot, so I'm going to just slide it in. And then from there to the bottom, we said was 0.51. Okay, so that's the height. Now we need the width. I'll pull this back over here. We said width was seen in here. It was connected to the top view as well. We'll look at all those widths. Okay, they're all right there. So we just need to figure out what's going to what. So this 0.43 from the top view says it's going to a hidden line. Well, that hidden line in this case, we follow that straight down, is this mark. Okay, is this line right here, this cutout. So we're going to be using that 0.43. The 0.98 goes to this center mark. The 1.73 goes to this center mark. Same thing with the next two. They go to those center marks. So we're not going to use any of those right now because we're drawing from the front view. But we will use this 4.57 because that goes to the other hidden line, which is the other cutout, and the overall width of 5. So let's come back in here. We're going to go from our origin to this cutout. We said that was 0.43, kind of an odd number for inches, but it is what it is. And then we're going to go from our origin all the way over to the other cutout. It says it is 4.57. And right now mine is fully defined. So let's just double check to make sure everything is 5. So from there all the way to here should say 5. And it does. So that means all of our other dimensions are correct. Now if I try to put this in, it's going to yell at me and say, hey, this is driven, meaning it's already put in. And that's because of everything else that is dimensioned and constrained with relations. So we don't need to put that 5 in. So now I'm going to go to the Features tab and hit Extrude. Once again, we originally said the origin is on the back side, the bottom back. So we're going to be coming forward. Now that we're coming forward, we need the depth, the thickness of this. The top view shows depth, and so does the right side view. So the top doesn't have anything there, but the right side view does. So we're going to be coming all the way forward from our origin to the very front. That is 2.28. 2.28. Okay, and hit the green check. Now we're going to sketch on top of this, way up here, and we're going to draw 2 slots. Again, you could just mirror this across because it is symmetrical, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll get my construction line first, move my mouse up here, and I'll find the midpoint, and I'll just draw straight down. Okay. Then I'm going to get a straight slot and just kind of come in here, and you don't know what this is connected to, so I would not connect it to this line at all. I would just kind of free draw this over here somewhere. Sorry, I was not on the straight slot. There we go. Okay, and then I'm just going to dimension this. So we mentioned from the left side to this first dot was 0.98. from that left side to the next dot was 1.73. That's going to give us the length of that slot. And now forward and backwards, as far as depth goes, we have to look at a different spot. Okay, so looking over here, since we're drawing on the top view, your top view shows width and depth. Okay, so we just put in the width. Now we're looking for depth of this. How forward and backwards is this? Well, if we find that slot over here, that slot is this hole. You can see the outside of it with the hidden line and the center mark going down the middle. So that is 1.14 back to the middle. 1.14 back to the middle. And while we're looking at this, you can see the slot has a radius of 0.26. So that number is fresh in my mind. So 0.26 is the radius. And from the back to the middle is going to be 1.14. Okay, so now that is centered. Once again, I'm just going to hit escape. I'll highlight everything, and I'll hit mirror across. Okay, and it mirrored it over. Just to kind of prove that this thing is symmetrical, if I go from the left side over to this, you should see it says 3.27. You will find that measurement on the top. And if I also go over to this one, it is 4.02. So those are the two measurements here to the other slot. That's those two. So it is symmetrical. Now those two holes, so those two slots, go all the way down through, as you can see over here on this right side. So we can go ahead and go to the Features tab and hit Extruded Cut, and just send this through all. Okay. Now let's look back. We are very close to being done. Now we just need to figure out what this rectangle is. Well, from the top view, it's hard to understand what that rectangle is. But if we look over at the right side view, we see here there's a rectangular cut that goes the whole length of this. If I follow this line across, we can see this line right here is representing that this cutout goes the whole way back through. So, why is it a rectangle on the top view? Well, because this wall and this wall right here are actually curved. So as that's curving down, this is not reaching the very end of the part. It's actually popping out of that curve beforehand. So you could draw this right on the top view. You could draw this on this flat side. It's up to you. From the top view, I think there's more to dimension, and it's kind of confusing. So let's just draw this from the right side over here on this flat piece, and we'll draw a rectangle. So I'll just get my sketch tool, and there's this little flat side right here that I'm going to select. And this time we'll just get the rectangle tool, just go up to the top. Make sure that you don't select anything. Like you can see there's little midpoint dots that pop up. You just want it to be connected to the top line. So just use my rectangle tool, and it says from the front of it to this first line is 0.43. It says from the front to the other line, 1.85. Pull this back over so you can see that's where I just got those two measurements. Keep in mind we already used this and this before. And now we need to know how far down. Look at that. It's the last measurement we have left. It's the measurement that we talked about at the very beginning. I'm going to this hidden line, but now it comes into play. So it's the 1.32 from the bottom. Okay, so that thing is fully defined. Let's go over to your Features tab, hit Extrude Cut, and send that through all. Okay. So now just to kind of show you what I mean, if we go to the top view, you can see that that rectangle is created because it does not go down as far as that curve does, yet it pokes out before the curve actually reaches all the way to the bottom. So that shape is now done. Let's go ahead and change our material. It says our material is alloy steel. We'll go into the Edit Material folder. find alloy steel, apply and close, and check your mass. So we should get 3.87, and everything else looks like it's correct. If you did not get that, keep problem solving. Try to figure out where you went wrong back in some of the sketches. You might just be off by a decimal place here or there. And good luck.